In the early age of the survival horror genre, every company wanted to capture the same lightning in a bottle that propelled Capcom to make a million sales with their experimental little game Resident Evil. But even though most companies ended up producing derivative and lazy copies of what made Capcom's gem so special, a few outliers managed to create unique and interesting experiences that, although benefiting from the Resident Evil craze, managed to form their own identity. One of those companies was Riverhill Soft with Overblood, a game with fully 3D environments centering around the events that occur within the enigmatic Lystra laboratory. The game is remembered by most as a boring and silly RE copy with almost no combat and nonsensical puzzles, but seeing the track record of the developing company with games such as Dr. Hauser, considered one of the most important games in the evolution of the survival horror genre, and J.B. Harold Murder Club, a beloved series of Japanese adventure games under their belt, I was a bit skeptical of those opinions. So I went and played the whole game, taking notes and trying to explore as much as possible to give you my honest opinion on the game, its story, mechanics, puzzles, and more, to figure out if it's still worth playing almost 30 years after its release. So sit back, relax, and enjoy of everything this quirky little game has to offer. What a way to start a game, huh? The music is perfect for creating this feeling of uneasiness and mystery, while the visuals tell us that something somewhere went terribly wrong. We wake up from a deep cryogenic slumber. Our memories are missing, meaning that we don't know who we are, where we are, why we are here, or what woke us up. But right now, there's a more pressing matter to worry about. This room is extremely cold, and the cold is lowering our health bit by bit every second. So our first mission will be finding a way to heat ourselves or the room up. This is the point where we gain control of the character for the first time, so might as well explain the controls. The arrows dictate the character's movement using the extremely popular tank control system. A or cross is the button we use to interact with things in the environment. Pressing B or circle allows to run. Y or triangle is the crouch button, and X or square is the jump button. Next is the left bumper, which does something extremely interesting for a game of this era. It switches the camera from cinematic view to third-person view to first-person view, something that one would imagine is used in later puzzles or will have a mechanical reason for being, but you know what, even if it doesn't, it's still an interesting and cool feature to have, so good stuff game, good stuff. Last but not least, the right bumper lets you swap characters, which is a bit of a spoiler, but at least now we know that we will be able to control someone else other than our protagonist. Oh, and I almost forgot, the pause button, well, pauses the game, and the select button opens our inventory, but given that right now we don't have any items, we don't have any use for it. Looking around, we find a sort of terminal with a message indicating that the room has no power, and using our 200 IQ intellect, we deduce that there's probably a switch somewhere that needs to be flipped. Continuing our search, bridge, we find 2 locked doors with no visible way to unlock them, and a third one with a frozen handle. Something interesting, and that might be a bit frustrating for people who are used to taking their sweet time investigating every inch of a room, is that even in the small animations where you check the doors, your health bar keeps going down, so you need to make sure not to take too long, otherwise you might die. Finally, on the other side of the central pillar thing, we notice a sign that talks about an auxiliary power unit located right below it. At first, I didn't get what I was supposed to do, but then I understood that in this game, your position really matters when it comes to interacting with stuff. There's going to be many places where, depending on if you're standing or crouching, you'll get a different result, and some other places can only be interacted with if you are crouching or, as we'll see later, if you are using a short character. We flip the switch for the auxiliary power and ta-da! Now the room is 1% warmer, which is not much, but is enough to melt the ice around the handle of the last door we inspected, giving us access to a new room. We enter the room and oh, listen to that incidental music, holy! Whoever the composer for this game is, they did a phenomenal job at making you feel as if at any moment a freaking monster could jump out of frame and eat your face. In this chamber, we find 3 really important things. The first one is a little robot that unfortunately seems to be broken or at least incomplete. The second one is an open case with a voice recorder that functions as the save system for the game. And this right here was mind-blowing for me, given that you'll have this item for basically the rest of the game and it lets you save anywhere at any time you want, something not that common in contemporary spoopy games of the era. The third thing we find is a closed case containing a jacket, finally giving you enough warmth to avoid dying from hypothermia, and a memory chip, which, as some of you might already guessed, is the missing part that we need to boot up our new little companion. Everyone, I present to you the bestest of boys, Peepo, a being so pure, so full of joy that as soon as I saw him, I wrote in my notes, and I quote, "OMG, OMG, what a cute-ass robot."
What's the matter?
He's probably gonna die at some point. This adorable robot is our second playable character, and it differs from the protagonist in a few ways gameplay-wise. Instead of a crouch, we get a sort of grab action with the claw coming from its head, useful for picking up hidden objects as well as interacting with terminals and switches. Activating the main console of the cryo chamber, we manage to disengage the locks on the remaining doors and finally get some more information on our protagonist and his whole situation.
Disengaging door locks. Displaying information on selected organism.
What do you know? Looks like I have a name after all. Raz Carsey.
Revival program has been changed due to state of emergency. Original setting for date and time of revival: eternity.
Eternity? They never meant to let me out. If it wasn't for this state of emergency, I'd have been in the deep freeze forever.
So Raz wasn't meant to wake up, but why? The plot thickens. Taking one of the recently unlocked doors, we enter a long connecting hallway. At the midpoint, we see a bunch of damage in the walls and floor caused by whatever the emergency was in the first place. Amidst the rubble, we actually need to use Peepo's claw to inspect and recover a keycard that will be useful later. Moving on, we enter this gorgeous bridge hovering above a sort of central control room, and let me tell you, even though the models are not that detailed and the textures are far from being high-res, the whole vibe you get from the environments and the room design is making this game, at least aesthetically, one of my all-time favorites. Past the bridge, we find an intersection with 3 doors. The one to the left leads us to a lock mechanism asking for a code we don't yet have. The one to the right takes us to a big room with with 2 floors that show visible structural damage. To the left, we notice a door currently out of reach due to the floor leading to it collapsing sometime in the past, and at the opposite edge from where we come from, there is a small shortcut connecting the cryo chamber to this part of the facility. Finally, on the central door, we are greeted by a big elevator and a cutscene.
Looks like we're in some sort of sub-basement. I don't know which was worse, being frozen or being buried alive like this. Peepo, why would anybody do this to me? Nowhere to go but up, and that's fine with me. Ah! Man, what a horrible way to die. What is that? A disease? I hope it's not contagious.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is what I call foreshadowing. Taking a closer look at the body, it seems that his whole skin is covered in mold. Was that the cause of death? Who knows, but at least we find a memo with some codes in one of the dead guy's pockets. We input the code into that door from earlier and enter a new hallway with multiple doors and an intersection that branches into 2 different areas. To the left of the intersection, there's a big hole preventing us from making progress. I tried jumping, but these boys' legs weren't beefy enough. And to the right is this sort of futuristic cafeteria with a bunch of broken machines and a floating sculpture in the middle. Going back before the intersection, we find 2 doors. One of them is locked and the other one leads to a storage area where there's a bunch of body parts, containers and brains being preserved in a bluish liquid. Here we find a laser knife after solving puzzles and getting our goofy eye electrocuted. 10 out of 10 scream, by the way. Good, we have a weapon and are ready to rumble, but now what? And I'm gonna be honest with you folks, I got a bit stuck in this part because I wasn't sure what to do. I knew I had to find a way to get past that big hole, and I had a hunch that it probably had something to do with that floating statue in the cafeteria, but no matter how many times I interacted with it, nothing different would happen. So yeah, this is me running around like a moron for like 20 plus minutes until I finally come back to the statue, have the big brain idea of switching to first person view to check if I had missed something, and indeed, I had missed the big ass white square at the base of it. So I approached the statue again, and yeah, I got an anti-gravity device. Fantastic, this is exactly what we need for that hole. We rejoice, and as soon as I grab the device, the statue that was levitating falls and crushes our weak, feeble bodies. Okay, yeah, it makes sense. If we grab the thing making the heavy statue float, then the bloody statue will fall. It's not rocket science. And because I am used to games having weird and obtuse solutions for their puzzles, I thought that maybe I needed some sort of rope to hold the statue up, or a stick, so I wasted like another 5 minutes of my life looking for that, but apparently not. This game, to its credit, is really illogical in that sense, at least so far. The real solution to the puzzle is just pushing the statue, so it falls to the other side. Yeah, gosh darn it. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. Finally, we get the anti-gravity device, jump over the hole, and get to the control room that was visible from that breach at the beginning.
Warning. A state of emergency is in effect. Evacuate
State of emergency. State of complete disaster, more like it.
Disruption detected in main power station. Activate emergency power bypass. Repeat. Disruption detected in main power
No wonder the
station.
elevators are out of service.
Emergency power bypass.
Okay, so there was a malfunction in the main generator, and that's the reason why the elevator is off. Interesting. Better go fix that thing then. Before we leave, we almost suffocate ourselves by turning on the AC, unlock the last remaining doors using one of the main consoles, and get an apparently insignificant code from a screen recording that will actually come in clutch later. Opening one of the newly unlocked doors leads us to a long hallway being filled by a humming sound that emanates from a grate. With the knife we cut it open and send Peepo to investigate. At the end of the shaft there's a sort of machine, and after interfacing with it we turn something back on. What's that something, you might ask? I legit have no idea, but I imagine it's something necessary to restore the power. Probably, maybe, hopefully, who knows. We keep going and enter the generator room, but darn, the corridor is destroyed, so we'll have to find another way in. Yes, I tried jumping, but damn legs are still not athletic enough. Backtracking all the way to the room with the stairs, we use the anti-gravity device to reach the last door and use it again to hold a malfunctioning security door open. Unfortunately, the battery of the device gets drained while we are making our way through, and the heavy security door falls directly on top of us. Thanks to the heroic actions of our boy Peepo and the seemingly useless code we got from the control room, we managed to save Raz. Pushing through, we get a cool moment when a bridge collapses while we are standing on it, and after some more walking, we finally reach the generator room. Again, we jump across the modules to reach the main console and restore power to the facility. Before we continue, if your curiosity has been piqued, then this is the perfect point to pause the video and experience the 5-hour campaign by yourself. I'm pretty sure you won't find the game in any modern platforms, but you're smart. I'm sure with a little bit of googling you'll figure it out. On the other hand, if you're one of those chats that don't care about spoilers, sit back, grab some snacks, and enjoy the rest of the video. Ready to get the hell out of this place, we enter the elevator room and watch a cutscene.
I've got to get out of here before I'm in the same shape he is. No, it's too late. I'm infected. This can't be happening. How did I catch it? Oh, for gosh sake, what is it? What have I done to deserve this? If only I could remember who I am, maybe it would help me understand. What now? The power's up. It should be running. Move, darn you! Don't leave us trapped like this!
My boy really can catch a break, huh? By the way, so far I'm really impressed by the voice acting in this. The dialogue, although a bit goofy sometimes, feels way more natural than in other games. And the delivery by the actors has less awkward pauses and feels genuine, again, unlike in other similar games.
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
In this new floor, we solve a simple door puzzle and see an unknown figure watching us from a corner. We follow it and cutscene.
What in the... Ah! I'm a dead man. No! Peepo. Come on, Peepo. You'll pull through, I know you can. Shake it off, Peepo. Self-diagnose, you can make it. Don't leave me, Peepo. Peepo!
Peepo! Oh no! I hate always being right. We mourn the loss of our little friend, and after taking his memory chip, we investigate the rest of the floor. In the same room where people got 360 no-scoped, we open a mysterious valve, even though we don't know what it does, and exit the same way we came from. To the opposite side, we find a sort of cargo area with a very jumpy lift, a door, and a vent. Exploring the crates in the cargo area, we notice a box that could be opened with some sort of key, but nothing else interesting or useful at the moment. Going through the door, we find the tracks of what appears to be a sort of transportation system, but unfortunately, a derailed cart is blocking our way forward, and although we find a wall with a big ass crack, there's nothing we can do at the moment, so that only leaves the vent we saw earlier. We vent and fall into a room where another one of those mutated creatures is terrorizing a woman. We beat the creature's weak, moldy, unmoisturized ass, and after looting every item in the room, we go help the woman who has been laying on the floor for like 10 minutes at this point, I don't know.
Thank goodness I found you.
What? No! Stay away! Oh! I thought you were... that thing.
I can't tell you how relieved I am. I'm so glad to find another person. My name is Raz Karsi.
Millie Azray. Nice to meet you.
God, I love how novel and reassuring the main character is.
So, is your memory gone too?
I can't remember anything.
And we really are in the same predicament.
So it would seem.
We'll just have to get out of it together then.
Sure, you and me.
There's just one thing. It seems I have some sort of infection.
Infection? What kind of infection?
I'm afraid I may turn into one of those creatures.
We'll get you help. Don't worry.
But you must promise me, if any infection takes over, you must do what you can to get away from me. Do you understand?
Don't talk that way. We'll get help before it comes to that, I promise.
Help? We can't expect any help. We're on our own.
Then what do you say? Let's get going.
What's that?
That? I'm not sure. I found it before. I don't know.
It says ARNA virus. This could hold the answer to what's happening to me, don't you think?
We now have a new companion and found what seems to be the root cause of this infection. So the next step is finding a cure and getting the hell out of here. With the key we found earlier, we open the box located at the cargo area and take one of the explosive samples stored within. I imagine this is the key to blowing that wall near the rails to bits, but to do that we need to ride the lift, and with that much movement, I'm pretty sure we would blow ourselves up to smithereens. So after an embarrassing long time of interacting with every single crate in here, and only after remembering again that you need to check every interactive object while crouching, we find an oil can to lubricate the lift and finally progress further into the facility. We go back to the hole near the train tracks and by using a broken thermostat, heat up the volatile sample, blasting the wall and creating a path forward. After almost being run over by a train cart and looting a handgun and another keycard, we enter a big room with a single terminal, a door and a vent leading to the central air duct. Behind the door, bright blue lights reveal a mix of machinery and pipes that compose what later we'll find out is a sterilization room, while in one of the walls, behind a big window, we can see a sort of control room. Approaching the exit, a cutscene triggers with the funniest joke in the whole game.
Sterilization?
As in decontaminated.
You sure? I may want to have kids someday.
Really?
Yeah.
As well as a really sweet moment where Raz talks about Peepo.
I wish this computer were more like Peepo. He understood.
Peepo? What's a Peepo?
My little robot friend. He helped me out of a jam, but he didn't survive.
Oh, you met SR-19. I see. I mean...
SR-19? What did you...
Oh, no, nothing. I was just... Never mind.
We climb the vent with Raz, but get trapped by some security doors. Switching to melee, we input our password into the terminal. I guess this lady worked here before losing her memory. And disable the doors for Raz. Oh, and remember that random valve we opened after the death of the notorious POPI? Yeah, we also need to go back and close it. This lets Raz deactivate the main exhaust fan after getting cut to pieces like 2 times. And opens the path to our destination. Finally, entering the control room, we approach the main panel. Before starting the sterilization procedure though, we notice a virus analysis station, and without a second thought, we put in the sample we found earlier.
Virus analysis.
Apparently, the virus is man-made and mutates the host into something no longer human. We also learn that for the host...
Prognosis. Traumatic reordering of host cellular structure will result in total systemic collapse. Host organism will die. Projected mortality rate of infected subjects stands at 100% fatal.
100% fatal? I don't stand a chance. I'm a dead man.
While our boy tries to start the sterilization sequence, one of the creatures falls into the room, threatening Millie's life. In an effort to help her, we get one of the most realistic exchanges I've seen in a game.
The gun! Use the gun!
It's not working! It's jammed!
Millie, the safety's on! Release the safety, Millie! Shoot it!
The fact that they put that interaction in the game made me laugh so hard because, yeah, in a lot of media when people with zero experience get a gun, they start shooting with pinpoint accuracy and handling the gun as if they had been deployed in a war zone or something for like 10 years plus. We managed to escape the creature and now find ourselves in a weird but cool looking garden. We don't get any time to breathe before getting hit with another cutscene.
The military's playing us for fools. We've got to shut down the project.
Don't be absurd.
This was supposed to be about enhancing longevity, improving immunological defenses, but they've corrupted it.
You're naive if you thought we could limit how our findings are applied. Sure, we may not like...
Now who's being naive?
Apparently, the research done in this facility started as a philanthropic project trying to cure diseases and further human evolution. But at some point, the government and especially the military got involved and started using the findings to create some sort of super soldiers. Also worth noting is that the voices of the scientists having an argument are the same as those of Millie, Raz, and a third unknown voice. By the way, something that I have noticed about this game is that even though it doesn't have that many cutscenes, when one starts playing, you know it's gonna be at least 5 minutes long, and with no skip button, making any second playthrough or any death far from your last save a bit tedious and annoying. Exploring the garden, we find some ammo and a switch that drains the water from the central pond, allowing us to jump in. This way, we enter the sewers, a short connection of hallways leading to a big pipe that discharges a huge amount of water as soon as we get close to it.
Millie, stay with me!
The only way to avoid getting dragged by the current consists of jumping at the perfect moment to grab the ledges of a manhole. Yeah, it sounds simple, but you only get like 2 seconds to jump, and the only hint as to what you are supposed to do to avoid dying is a cutscene that shows you the manhole above you. A good implementation of show don't tell, but kind of confusing if you're not paying complete attention to the game when the cutscene plays out. Once we are out of the sewers, and after getting jumped by another mossy boy, we take the elevator. Inside, a cutscene shows the worsening condition of Raz, moments before getting jumped again and managing to trap the mossy boy in the elevator. Oh, apparently a shadowy figure is literally preying on our downfall.
It's amazing how he's pulling through. To resist the ARNA virus that normally has an instantaneous transformation period? Well, I suppose I should be pleased after all our work. Looks like Raz might be our first successful subject.
While watching this scene, I wrote in my notes, quote, "Oh nah, this bee is sus."
Still, I've got to find a way to clear the virus from his system. I don't care about the project. It's not worth the price of losing him.
And 5 seconds later, oh, never mind, cheap wifey. Exploring this floor, the first thing we encounter is a laser wall blocking access to a door. To the left of the room, past a very noisy hallway, is a lounge area where a map of the facility indicates that on the opposite side we can find the Lystra labs. But when we go check the door, it requires a card key to open. In a pretty nice twist, we can disable the lasers with one of those codes written in the memo we picked up at the beginning of the game. Opening the door behind it reveals a bridge with a collapsed section in the middle. And here we are supposed to jump with Rast across it, but apparently in my first jump he just wasn't feeling it. At the other side, we enter the living quarters of the facility, in which there are some mossy lads looking for a scuffle, as well as materials we need to create a bridge for Millie. In one of the rooms, we check a terminal left unlocked by its owner, and we find a letter written by Millie herself, addressing to the board of directors her discontent with the way the military were using the findings of her research.
Is asserting intolerable pressure on the Lystra laboratory to redirect our research away from peaceful aims by introducing the ARNA virus into the systems of our cloned subjects. Although evidence suggests the subjects will develop enhanced sensory skills, memory deletion will render the subjects virtual slaves.
Okay, now we know for sure that Millie didn't actually lose her memory. Building the improvised bridge, we confront Millie, who denies any recollection of sending said report, while the guy who's watching us scolds his computer's AI.
Zeus, you fool! Why didn't you destroy Millie's letter?
I am a computer. I cannot be a fool.
Oh yeah? It was certainly foolish to let him see that.
It is foolish to be concerned over things you cannot change. This information is no use to him.
No use? You're not accounting for human emotions. There's no telling what he may do if he finds out the truth about her.
Using a set of tunnels conveniently located below the rooms, we explore most of the chambers and pick up a video disc from a broken terminal. Here, I didn't know how to progress, so I went back to look for that keycard to open the lab, and after like 5 minutes, I decided to inspect the noisy hallway while crouching, and voila, there's the keycard.
A card key. A lot of good it is without its lock.
Maybe... Raz! Fight it, Raz!
Millie! I can't go on. I'm losing it, Millie.
Raz!
Run, Millie! Get away from me!
Oh snap! Raz transformed into a laser man. We run straight to the lab and taste the freak out of our boy. Millie, being a real G, manages to cure the big boy by using some sort of machine. She must be crazy strong to be able to carry a grown-ass laser man and lay him on that bed. And after finding an Allen key on a box inside the lab, we are finally able to access the last 2 doors of this level. Entering the main control room, we approach the main console and get a cutscene loaded with juicy reveals and real nice voice acting. This one is a bit long, but I believe it's worth showing you guys the whole scene, so enjoy.
Attention all personnel. Evacuate immediately. Repeat. An earthquake measuring magnitude 8.9 has local epicenter. Aftershocks. All personnel. Emergency procedures now in effect. Cryogenic storage units have been compromised. Infected subjects are no longer secured. Evacuate your main computer room on upper level immediately.
So that's what got us into this mess. An earthquake. And it released those beasts.
We can't just abandon everything. All of our work, our experiments, I refuse to let it all be lost.
Don't worry. Zeus has already evacuated everything essential. But the center must be destroyed to prevent the virus from being released into the environment.
But our subjects,
The subjects. Don't make me laugh. I know what you're interested in, that clone. Forget it. She's expendable.
How dare you? She's everything I've worked for. I won't sacrifice her.
For goodness sake, it's not her. It's it. And it isn't worth risking our lives for.
You think of her as just another entry in your logbook. But she's real. Flesh and blood. As real to me as she ever was.
Face it, she's not your Millie. She's just a clone.
This conversation is pointless. The self-destruct mechanism is set for 24 hours, and we...
I didn't authorize that. You better hope I have time to save her, or you'll pay.
Take it easy. What's done is done.
Never. I won't lose her. Whatever it takes. My Millie!
My Millie? Millie? A clone? Millie, do you realize what he's saying? You're a clone?
It's true.
And your memory?
It wasn't deleted. I remember.
Why didn't you tell me? Why have you put us through all this?
It's not as simple as that. My memory is from... before I died.
Before you died? I don't understand.
I remember Millie's life. From before. How she worked. How she loved. I don't remember what happened here. To me, the last thing I remember was my own death. Her death. Strange, isn't it?
I can't believe it. You're so real.
I am real. I'm just not the same.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to suggest that. It's just that... I need to ask you one more question. Who am I?
Let me try to explain.
Huh?
Millie, can you hear me?
Who is that?
Finally, they can hear me.
Answer me. Who's there?
Millie, listen to me carefully. There's no time to explain. The center is going to self-destruct.
I know.
You know? Then hurry. There isn't much time.
I can't leave him.
Have you lost your mind? Leave him.
Don't be afraid. He's safe.
Safe?
I'm telling you, he won't hurt anyone.
Do you think I care about that? I want him dead.
Then I'll die with him.
No, leave him. You must. You're my...
That wasn't me. That was a different Millie. All I have in common with her is a DNA strand and memories.
What are you saying? Millie, you are my... It's that man. He's twisting your mind.
Your wife is dead. I love this man.
You love me. I made sure of it by saving...
Forget about him, Raz. We've got to go.
An interesting turn of events.
Shut up!
You were correct. These human emotions have no standardization.
I've got one more chance to bring her back to me.
By force?
If it comes to that...
That is predictable. In fact, it is almost
I love her
certain.
too much to lose her.
However, her feelings...
Shut up! I won't listen to any more of your electro-psychobabble.
Taking the door unlocked by the shadowy figure takes us to a cave where a sort of hovering bike gives us a way closer to getting the hell out of this place. We play a bit of Surfway Surfer and crash land after the battery on the vehicle runs out. Following the only way forward, and after fighting with another mossy boy, we get ambushed by an evil Raz and one of his creatures. Waking up sometime later, we hurriedly take the elevator and arrive at a sort of cryogenic chamber. But this time, amidst organs and cells being preserved, we also notice that every humanoid sleeping in the pods is a perfect clone of Raz. Past this chamber, we find the conference room shown in one of the security videos, but all the scientists have been killed. In one of their bodies, we pick up the ID of Raz and use it to gain access to the core room where Millie and the evil guy await our arrival.
Stay away from her. Astonishing, really, that you've survived this long. You've left me no choice but to terminate you myself.
What do you want with Millie?
Simple. To pick up where we left off. As husband and wife.
That Millie is dead. You've no right to this woman.
Right? How dare you question my rights? She's a perfect duplicate. I've seen to that. She's my Millie in every way.
Except that she doesn't love you.
And you think she loves you? You have no idea how preposterous that is. I've devoted every waking minute, every ounce of my being to restoring her. If you think I'm going to lose her now to you, you're mad.
Nothing you can do can change that now.
No. I have her back at last. Everything will be the way it was between us.
Who the hell do you think you are?
Don't you know by now? I am Raz Carsey.
No!
Zeus, light please. You're nothing but a clone. Of me.
Me? A clone? It's not true.
You're nothing but a lab experiment, cultured from a single hair from my head. You're nothing.
You're lying.
You know it's the truth. You don't have a memory, do you? That's because I didn't give you one. What does a lab rat like you need with a memory? You're just one in a long line of experiments, and the experiment is over.
10 minutes to self-destruct.
Fine. Millie and I will be on our way, just as soon as I deal with this one last detail. Killing the last clone.
I'd rather be dead than go through life with someone as evil as you.
It's me you love. You're my Millie.
You are as meaningless to me as a lump of mold in a petri dish. I won't let you hurt him. I love him. Your Millie is dead.
Think of the gift I've given you. Your life back.
Farewell.
We can pick up where we left off. It's your fault. If you didn't exist, she'd accept me again.
She could never accept you. You're a cold-blooded murderer.
Murderer?
Those others, they wanted to abandon my Millie, to leave her to die here. It wasn't murder. It was self-preservation. Time's up, clone.
Don't!
Aftershock!
No! It's not fair. No, no, no. I was him. I was so close.
This is the last boss of the game. It hits way harder and has way more health than the Mossy Boys, but the fight is exactly the same. You run around waiting for him to attack, and once the animation starts, you can stun lock him with your own punches. Or if, like me, you have been picking up ammo throughout the whole game, you can equip the handgun in the item menu and shoot him to death. Just be careful not to waste all your bullets, because he gets invisibility frames while attacking. After a solid minute and a half of unloading every magazine we have on his ass, the lizard man goes down, and with the help of Peepo's memories, we confirm our identity to the AI. Their name is Zeus, by the way.
Visual check.
And are granted access to the lift that leads out of the facility. Breathing a sigh of relief, we take the elevator, but whoops, that damn lizard is still alive. We shoot it in the face again, which makes him drop into the void, hopefully sealing his fate. At last, we arrive at a hangar, ready to leave this godforsaken place, but the lizard is back. We fight him a third time. This is why you shouldn't waste all your bullets in the first fight. And with the help of Millie, who's piloting the jet, we lead him behind the thruster and burn his scaly ass to a crisp, finally putting an end to his insecure, stalkery ways and setting us free from this horrible place.
Exterior gates open. Passage clear.
Oh, and no, don't leave yet, because after the credits, we get a neat little scene wrapping basically the whole story of the game in a few words.
Are you the real Raz?
I don't know. But I am sure of one thing. I know I am the real me.
And that's Overblood, a game that, after playing it, seems to be belittled and underestimated for no reason. Yes, its pace is lower than other titles, but it never becomes boring, and although some people really like having multiple things to fight and kill throughout their playthroughs, I'm pretty sure the development team recognized their weakness in that area and decided to just not put too much thought or emphasis on it, which was, in my opinion, the correct choice. Instead, they focused on the atmosphere and overall feeling of the game, making it unique and, in some instances, even more unnerving than Resident Evil itself. Of course, I'm not saying that it is a perfect game. To start off, I agree that it should have had more puzzles and that the crouch mechanic is kind of fucking stupid. Yes, the final boss could have been better designed, but I really want to refute many of the opinions I found online about it because I really do think it's a game worth playing even today, at least once. The story is quite interesting, the voice acting is solid, you can find the game for free basically, and the whole playthrough will only set you back like 4 hours of your time, which I'm pretty sure will be better spent experiencing something new rather than watching TikTok or rewatching The Office for like the 11th time. And that's it, that's the video. I'm pretty happy to have discovered this game and sharing my experience with you guys. If you like what you saw, then please consider supporting the channel by subscribing and leaving a like. Oh, and please let me know of any games you would like me to play or any interesting series you will recommend down in the comments. Also, I'm going to be uploading videos more frequently, so if you would like to get updates and behind the scenes stuff, you can follow me on Instagram or Blue Sky. Don't follow me on Twitter, that place is a fucking cesspool. And yeah, thank you for watching and I'll see you later, loves. Bye bye.